October 22nd, 2024, the unthinkable happened. Something that would shake a Destiny player to their core. The last word had a damage glitch, causing it to deal more than it should. Bungie's response was to fix it in PvP, and they left it alone in PvE. Horrific, I know, but welcome nonetheless. Okay, so last word is dealing more damage now. A buff, you could even say. I had to see it for myself, so I dusted off the old cowboy iron and took it for a spin. Literally. Now, I can't tell you what the last word was like before this because, frankly, the last time I used it was months ago. But I can tell you that this thing's hot, smoking, fiery, molten, singeing. Yeah, you're right. Let's just get to the gun. So, last word. The first thing you'll think of is Lucky Pants, which, yes, not only does Lucky Pants work well with the fast fire rate of the last word, it also just fits thematically. Cowboy pants, cowboy gun, cowboy hat. Cowboy is very happy. But even on its own, last word isn't something to write off. And even if you don't like Lucky Pants or Hunters, which, who can blame you, there's things you can do to enhance this damage to some truly ridiculous levels. But first, there is a correct and incorrect way to use the last word. The incorrect way is to aim down the sights. Sure, the weapon still functions, but if you hip fire, you'll gain fan fire stacks, which increases your reload speed and accuracy, and beyond that, your headshots will be doing almost double damage from the hip. For an apples to apples comparison, I used Hawkmoon, both exotic, both kinetic. After I strip away this overshield, you can see Hawkmoon lands for around 16,000, while the last word lands its hipfire shot for around 39,000. The numbers will vary depending on the enemy, and you'll see a big dip when going from majors to champs, and then the biggest dip from champs to bosses. But those are the exception rather than the rule. The last word tears through stuff. A single headshot is often enough for just about anything, and anything that does survive can easily catch another few shots very quickly, taking them down as well. But as far as building into the last word, you're not in a ton of luck. The last word is a very self-contained weapon. It's kinetic, which can double dip into transcendence gains on prismatic, but apart from that, you're not looking at any synergies with your subclass, which in the current form of Destiny is a pretty big sacrifice. Though if you look hard enough, there are still some things that you can do. Let's talk about arguably the biggest thing you can do with the last word outside of Lucky Pants. On Stasis, there's a fragment that causes your primary weapons to deal bonus damage to crystals and frozen enemies. This of course works with the last word since it's a primary weapon. But one thing the last word can do that others can't is sneak in another shot against a frozen enemy. Normally this is a pretty good fragment, but you're only looking at a single shot against a frozen enemy since once you shoot them, they'll shatter and no longer be frozen. The last word says that's bogus, and with its high rate of fire, you're actually able to land an additional boosted shot against the frozen enemy as they're shattering. So who better to do that with than a Stasis turret warlock? Toss down your turrets, then simply shoot the helplessly frozen combatants with some of the easiest headshots ever. This won't net you any benefits from using a Stasis weapon, but both Rhymecoat and the last word are very self-sufficient, so you won't have any problems with ability downtime or the like. You of course can do this with any class, but the Stasis turrets are by far the most consistent. On Titan and Hunter, last word simply fits a little better than it does on the Warlock. Titans and Hunters both have numerous benefits from being close to enemies, such as getting your melee back with the Gambler's Dodge on Hunter, or Titans, well, just being Titans. Punching and the more punching, there's just a lot of punching, which helps the last word stay in range. Outside of freezing enemies for extra damage, you can also gain grenade energy on Strand. Threat of Generation will give you grenade energy by simply dealing damage, and with the last word, damage comes naturally. Now, you don't get crazy energy with the last word, but it's at least something else to try out that does work with it. Finally, we have Radiance, which is by far the best way to use the last word. Radiant can be gained through dealing melee damage, which is very easy to do on any class. This can be done on prismatic, though I do find the 5-second duration to be a bit limiting compared to Solar's 8-second base and 12-second extended radiant. Pair this with 2 surge mods on your boots for even more damage. Put everything together, the hipfire, double surge mods, and radiant, and you're hitting for 60,000 damage, a number very much unlike the 21,000 from an aimed headshot. So to summarize, while it may not have any true pairings with our subclasses, the last word reminds us that sometimes it's nice to just use a weapon that simply deals a lot of damage, and more importantly, is fun to use. The last word is a great time, and now with its recent accidental buff, it throws out some really impressive numbers, regardless if you're using it with Lucky Pants or not. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. It really does help the channel. Let's talk about the last word down in the comments. Have you used it recently, and what sort of builds have you put together for it? Let me know. Until next time.